Where do you go when you daydream, and why do you get to daydream in the first place? Today we're going to be talking about that and a little bit more as we discuss the default mode network. My name is Alex, this is my brain science channel, and welcome to my show. The anatomy of the default mode network is a little complex and it spreads out across a vast region of your brain. However, we can break it up into three major systems based on functionality and purpose. The first area we can talk about is the area that focuses on you. It brings back autobiographical memories, as well as information pertaining to self-reference, other emotions about yourself, thinking about your own emotion, metacognition regarding your emotion. So, the parts of the self-subsystem are going to be listed in a sidebar on the screen. If you want to read more about them, feel free to pause the video and read up a little bit more. It's going to take too long to go through all of them because there are a lot of parts. However, what we can go over is where they're notably located. Most of the regions that support the self-subsystem are located around the posterior cingulate cortex. The primary role of the PCC within the default mode network is focusing on emotional salience. Whenever something becomes important, the PCC switches off and you switch over to the task positive network rather than the task negative network. Next, we have the subsystem that focuses on others, otherwise known as the dorsal medial subsystem. This region is important to things like theory of mind, which enable us to think about what another person might be thinking, as well as making social judgments and judgments of others and how they interact in a social situation. In an absolutely massive paper on the default mode network, a man named Buckner and his colleagues implicated autism as being associated with the dorsal medial subsystem. If your dorsal medial subsystem wasn't working, it was hypothesized that you wouldn't be able to think about what others were thinking. Other studies have since established that a weaker connection between the MPSC and the PCC is associated with autism spectrum disorder. However, whether or not this is a cause or an effect of autism spectrum disorder has yet to be established. The good news is that we have somewhere to look. Last but not least, we're going to be discussing the autobiographical and the future simulation system, or the medial temporal system. This system is focusing on remembering the past, simulating the future, and actually helping you remember stories. So if you want to watch Star Wars and remember it, you're going to need your medial temporal system. A couple cool facts, both of which we probably might get to in a future video. Without your dorsal medial subsystem, you can't really follow a story very well. However, with your dorsal medial subsystem, you can follow a narrative relatively well, even in another language. Though you can't really comprehend the story itself because you can't understand the language, your ability to understand cause and event in a sequence of time relies on your dorsal medial subsystem to function correctly. The other cool fact about your dorsal medial subsystem is not necessarily with the system itself, but how your memory works. So your memory isn't just about remembering the past. It does work like that, but what it's really good at is simulating the future. Your dorsal medial subsystem is part of the system in your brain that lets you take experiences in the past and use that to project about what might happen in the future. Your dorsal medial subsystem sort of samples memories and uses them to create hypothetical scenarios from what you know and what you understand. The question of the day is, why does all of this matter? Why does the default mode network matter to any of us? The default mode network has actually been implicated in a lot of the big bads of neuroscience like Alzheimer's, depression, and autism. Research is still ongoing to uncover how our knowledge of the DMN can be applied to clinical settings and create viable treatments in a medical environment. Until then, we have treatments that are already available, ancient practices that have been around for thousands of years that can help you today. So, for those of you who are looking to bring a little bit of happiness into your life, I give you meditation. That's right, the ancient practice of meditation. Meditation has been associated with increases in mood regulation, decreases in depression, and improvements in overall happiness. A study by Garrison and co-workers in 2013 was used to establish that the practice of meditation is actually an active rather than a passive process like most of us would think. Using something called mindfulness, it engages your brain to think about your body and what's going on inside of it, rather than sit back and passively consider what you're doing. Those who are considered experts in the field of meditation have a weaker DMN, or a weaker connection between their default mode network nodes, than the rest of us. The Dalai Lama was once put under a PET scanner and was found to have a weaker DMN connection than the average individual. So for those of you who are looking to improve your mood and bring a little happiness into your life, maybe you should consider getting in touch with your inner monk. Thank you all for joining me on today's episode. My name is Alex, and this has been my Brain Science channel. If you have any questions or anything you'd like me to address, make sure you leave that in a comment down in the comment sections below. Thank you very much. I hope to see you all next time, and goodbye.